Call to order at 5:01. And if we could stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll move right on to public comment item C. So since we are virtual tonight, we will open the public comment up for virtual participation. So I don't know if we have anybody else online with us, Devin.
Seeing no one online.
All right, great. All right, so then we will move right to our next agenda item, which is new business. So first up, could I ask for a motion to award a contract to WB Mason for the following FF&E categories for Farmington High School State Project Number 052-0076N?
Motion. I'll second.
All right, perfect. So we'll open this up for discussion. I think we have, do we have Susan with us?
Yes, I am here.
Hey, Susan, how are you? Thank you so much.
Fine, thanks.
So if you just kind of want to walk us through what we've got in front of us, that would be great.
Sure, no problem. When we issued the bids last time, you may recall that we had some categories in which they were either incomplete or we didn't get any bids at all. Most of these items are fairly unusual items, which makes it a little more challenging sometimes to get interest in them. So what we did was I went back to one vendor who I knew for sure would be more willing to entertain the idea. I spoke to other vendors, they were not so interested. So I went to WB Mason and I sent them all of the stuff. I said, can you please just give me a quote on this? We did a lot of back and forth negotiating because there were some prices that came in that didn't quite seem right. It turns out, I guess, the guy who was pricing it thought everything was supposed to be priced based on the certain prevailing wages, even though there was no real installation involved and things like that. So needless to say, we went back and forth quite a few times and we finally ended up coming down to these final numbers. So the equipment and miscellaneous category, that's basically, it's like all the a lot of the STEM stuff, the hanging things for all of the slat wall. There's a lot of accessories that go along with that. We have things like the calzone cases, which are these specialty cases they use for their robotics. Vices and a lot of like kind of miscellaneous items. And then for the arcade, the retail kiosk, that is of course the coffee kiosk that we're putting in. And then the TS, that's we had a TV studio desk, and we also had these very large kind of mobile acoustic dividers. They're very highly specialized apparently for the type of sound conditions that you're dealing with in a TV studio. They ended up being a bit more expensive than I had anticipated them they would be. I will admit that. I had been going back and forth with the manufacturer and he kept telling me, we're redesigning it, we'll have a new price, we're redesigning it. And he never had that information for me before we went out to bid. So I really didn't have a good solid number on that. So it did come in a little higher than I expected. But overall, this is the total amount that we have for each category that came in. Everything was bid. It's all going to be, it's all set. The only caveat is that WB did ask if they could get, because it is a retail type of situation, they need to pay people up front for a lot of this stuff. So they'd like to know if they can get a 25% deposit. So I'd like to make sure that that's also included in this motion. I did contact Kat today and she spoke to finance and they agreed that it would be okay because they do have a performance bond already for WB Mason and that would cover it. So that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to talk to answer any.
Through the chair, this is Jack Butkus. May I comment?
Yes. please.
Thanks. When we reviewed the agenda for tonight and saw this item here, I had Emily double check with the requirements of our funding partners. And their view on items that don't get a bid is that you go back out to bid again. Have we gone out to, quote unquote, officially gone out to bid twice on these?
We were not able to get any vendors the first time around. And we know when I did contact other vendors and there was no interest at all in this.
Well, you're just making too much sense.
I know, right?
I'm not talking about what
Yeah.
what one might find in reality. I'm talking about the state process.
The state process, to my understanding, is that as long as we bid it out, if we did not get any bidders and we were unable to obtain it through state contract, that we have gone through our due diligence.
Well, that's what we had experienced in the past. Apparently, the focus now is, and I'll quote an email that I got from Emily after she double checked with the state. If an item is bid and no prices are received, a rebid is expected. Awarding directly to a vendor cannot occur. If after bidding and rebidding no prices are received, then the client would have to look at splitting the product so that they can be in conformance with OAG. They're putting a $100,000 per vendor limit on using the state contract in order to have eligibility maintained. Now, I know WB, we've used them a number of times, especially as you say, for these kind of specialized or you know, very, very mixed lot of items.
Right. So this is something I had not been made aware of. So I think it sounds like I'm going to have to go back and contact the state and have a conversation. So
I mean, there's the 100,000 limit. So in these three categories we see, you know, in effect, you're buying 3 different types of product. So you can do 3 different purchases. It's the e-equipment one that we'd have to look at, you know, is there another vendor for some of it, or are we willing to take the hit and say, well, the first 100,000 is eligible, and then the committee is willing to give up eligibility for the other 60. You know, back in the day, you know, we've had many instances of sending something out to bid and nobody shows up. It's even happened on elevators. And then you can go to one vendor and say, hey, you know, let me negotiate. Those were the good old days, and they don't look at it that way anymore in order to maintain eligibility. So I guess I'd have to put the question to the committee: are we willing to eat our reimbursement percentage on $60,000 worth of e-equipment, or will we defer at least that one item of these 3 for further study?
Matt, go ahead.
Just a quick question on Susan, on the TV studio equipment. I know that's pretty much just a single piece of equipment, the news desk.
It's two things. It's 2 things. It's the news desk and the gobos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that bid representative of the specifications that were put forward in the bid?
Yes. Yes, exactly what we asked for.
It's a 1-for-1.
Yep. The same with the retail kiosk. And the equipment, there was like one substitution just because an item had been discontinued. It was a kind of a battery charging thing for robotics. So the manufacturer had an alternate that was almost exactly the same thing that they recommended, and that's what they priced out. So everything else is as specified.
Susan, did WB indicate why they never bid when this was on the street?
Yeah, they said that in the past they've done it quite a bit, but they felt that it was kind of a losing proposition for them, because what was happening was a lot of these retailers were not always coming through with things, or they would discontinue something without telling them. And then they said that they would get into hot water with their clients because the clients are saying, well, where is it? And they're like, well, you know, suddenly the manufacturer's telling us they can't get it. We don't know what to do. We got to see if we can find alternate parts, or they weren't sending everything that they needed. So they said that they feel like it's kind of become something that they're less likely to bid on in the future, even though historically they've done it a lot. And I did, when I spoke with Frank Vielli, who is our regional guy here in Connecticut, he and I had a very long conversation. He said, this is not something we're going to be bidding in the future typically, but he said, in this case, I know that you guys are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, so I'm happy to give you guys some pricing. So.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Johnny.
And with Jack's comments about the reimbursement, is this time sensitive? Are we in a situation where if we don't do this tonight, that we're going to be in a time crunch or in a lead time crunch?
Not to the best of my knowledge. I don't think that any of these items have a really long lead time. Most of them, I believe, are going to have anywhere from a 2-week to maybe like an 8-week lead time. So I don't think that we're really far out on this. There isn't anything that's like, like things like that are made out of a lot of steel, like library shelving and things. Those typically will have a very long lead time. But as far as I know, all these items are basically ready to manufacture or already in stock.
Okay, so then, because obviously 30% of this is, $78,000, quite a bit of money to put a question mark on, and I don't know how comfortable I would feel seeing as if there's no time crunch. I'm not sure I'd want to go down that road unless someone else has other information to offer on that.
Yeah. So Jack, you said that we could probably pass the RK and the TS, but that the E we would have to, if we want to be able to get maximum reimbursement, what you're saying is we would have to rebid that again. And even if we don't get any bids, and we know we're not going to get any bids, we still have to rebid it again before we can go through with this.
Yeah, the fuzzy area is that, since these items were indicated at the plan review to be bid items and not state contract items,
right?
It's possible that they would look at even the RK and the TS as having to be put out to bid twice before you could then default to the state contract.
Okay.
Yeah, I think based on the conversation, it sounds like we want to table this one. So we get some additional information, especially, thank you, Johnny, for asking the question on overall timing. I mean, we certainly don't want to have an impact there, but I think we just need a little bit more information.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Do you think, Meg, in the interest of time, if it is deemed that we should rebid, that the committee would give us their consensus to put it out so that we can just go with it, and not have to come back? So if we do all of the background and we confirm, yes, it has to go back out, we have the ability to put it out immediately, so that we're not wasting any more time.
As long as that's okay within the process, I think we would be okay with that. If that's, I don't know, please speak up for our other committee members, but that's not going to jeopardize anything. I think we'd be fine with it.
Our experience and practice is that once a committee gives the green light to send something out to bid and we get our permission from the state, whether it's bid once, twice, or multiple times beyond that, bidding is bidding, and it can just continue on without returning back to the committee for permission.
Okay.
So is it prudent to go out to bid again right now while you continue to seek more information?
It probably wouldn't hurt for us to just do it. I can certainly just put something together and get it out the door. It would mean if it wasn't necessary, then it's extra work for us. But at the same time, if what Jack's saying is true, then I think that it sounds like that's the direction we're probably going to have to go.
Well, we got the answer within a day. Within a day, so I don't think you asking the question would have to wait too long for the answer yourself.
Okay, that's no problem. I can certainly contact the state tomorrow. Hopefully Bob Selmer, who's overseeing our project, would be able to answer that. But if not, I'm sure somebody up there can get us an answer pretty soon then.
All right. So Kat, do we need to do another motion then?
Yeah, I think you would just need a motion to table this.
Okay. All right. So could I get a motion to table item D1 from the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Sorry, opposed. All right, motion passes to table until further information. So do we need to do anything in addition to make sure that the bid can move forward?
No, I don't think we need an extra. I think it would just be to confirm that if no additional bid is required, we would just put this back on the next agenda because it's been tabled. If a second round of bidding is required, we'll just put it out to bid.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
Everybody comfortable from the building committee perspective on next steps?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's move right on to D2. Can I have a motion to reject all bids received for technology category COMP computer equipment for Farmington High School, state project number 052-0076N?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll open this up for discussion. I think this is you, Matt.
Yep. So we had 2 vendors bid on this category. Both vendors had what I would consider questionable pricing or needed a little bit more of a deep dive. I pulled a quote from state contract pricing and then asked both vendors questions. Both vendors came in with pricing that was based on a promotional discount that essentially expired January 31st. So at this point, that is factor 1. Factor 2 is that I have met with our Dell and HP reps in the last month, and there will be a processor refresh in somewhere in the month of March or April. And so that too will affect the equipment that we might be ordering. And so my recommendation is that we reject the bids, and I will continue to monitor those processors and the pricing. And basically we would purchase this off of state contract, which has already been vetted for more current technology, given the timeline of the use of the building.
I'll throw up the caution flag again that if, when we went through our plan review, this was listed as bid material, not state contract material, then we're going to be in that same do loop unless we go back and ask our plan reviewer if we can change horses and buy directly off state contract. So perhaps if, TSKP is reaching out to them on the last item, they can add this question to their list of inquiries.
Yeah, Matt, I'm happy to do that.
Sure. In my experience, there's not much less or much below state contract or the contract vehicles that we have access to.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. It's more of a process issue that
Right.
if we go out, if we color outside the lines, they can deny reimbursement. And I hate
Correct.
you guys to get stuck.
Sam, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I think Matt just spoke to it. What he was saying, the pricing is lower on state contract than what you received on the bids, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we in the same situation to table?
But why can't we reject this, whether we go out the bid or we go to state contract, but we get the answer? Why can't we still reject this today? So that would start the process of going to one of those 2 options for tomorrow. Or do I not have that right?
No, you're correct, Johnny. There's no impediment for rejecting the bids.
Okay.
All right, any other additional questions or discussions on D2? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. And obviously we'll wait for some additional information on that one as well. We'll go right to D3. So can I have a motion to award technology category AVEQAU audio visual equipment audio for Farmington High School state project number 052-0076N to Vintage King Audio in the amount of $162,710.32.
Motion.
Second.
All right, open this up for discussion. I think Matt.
Sorry, I'm mute.
Sorry.
So this was not brought forward initially because I was checking a few of the items and some of the details. You will see in the future a form of a change order. Again, when we originally put some of this some of the items together, it was based on what we knew at that time. Our gut feeling is that there will probably be a wash somewhere in here, but we've been working through already. I've been working with Dan and Chris, our AV staff, to reanalyze the equipment there. It was more of a just making sure that I's were dotted and T's were crossed on the bid that was put forward.
And just to reiterate, this was the bid received at the first bid time. So that was,
Correct.
there's no issue like we've been seeing with the other ones. This was their bid.
Any additional questions or details for Matt? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion passes. Excellent. I think that's all we have for motions this evening. But we do a few other things on other business. So E1 is update on technology equipment timeline for Farmington High School and central office.
Devin, if you just want to go to the next slide, this is just to give everybody, because there's a lot of moving parts for this, a snapshot of all of the items that we've put out to bid and the status of them, just to get a clear picture. This is for Farmington High School. There's, I believe, seven. We've awarded 4. Now that we just did the award, you just made the motion for. So there's 3 bids highlighted that are outstanding. I do have intent to purchase off a state contract that may change based on our conversations with the state. So we're in good shape with these. Matt and I have talked. I don't believe there's any concern for lead times or anything like that on the items that we have not awarded. But just to kind of keep track of what's still out there and what will be coming back to the committee. So for Farmington High School, we have 3 outstanding. And then Devin, if you go to the next slide, this is the central office. Did I miss one?
No, next slide, I think.
Central office, there was only 1 bid package for this one or bid item for this one, and that has been awarded. So we're all set in terms of central office. So any questions from the committee on the technology equipment portion? Okay. I think we're good for the next item, Meg.
All right. So we have update on FF&E timeline, Farmington High School and central office.
All right, so the next slide here is again a status update. I was able to edit this on the fly. So we have 3 items that were tabled for more information. That's equipment and miscellaneous, retail kiosk, and TV studio equipment. I also want to bring to everybody's attention that we have janitorial equipment or custodial equipment that is out to bid right now. Bids are due back to the town on February 13th. So we would intend at our next building committee meeting to have an award for that portion of the FF&E items. So of all the items that we have listed here, the majority are awarded. We've been moving forward with POs, contracts. We are collecting performance bonds on these. So we are in good shape in terms of the awards that we have made, and then we'll work to get these additional items moving.
If I can just add, Sam, I might need your assistance when these bids come in, because it sounds like there may be some people who do not, who are trying to bid or equals on these. And so I might need your assistance in kind of vetting these and determining if they meet the specs or not.
Absolutely.
All right, Devin, the next slide I think is just a budget snapshot, but I would suggest, Susan, I was going to have you go over this. I would suggest tabling this until next time to review, just because these numbers may change based on potentially going back out to bid. This was just to give a snapshot of where we are on all of these items. And then the next portion is for central office. We have not bid that yet. So Susan has broken out kind of our game plan and milestone schedule for this. So I'll pass it over to Susan.
Yes, thank you. I sent a notice actually to Kim just the other day. I'm sure she hasn't had a chance. But I am looking to start scheduling meetings to discuss the furniture for the central office. But right in front of you, what you see are our key dates. We'd like to have all of the determinations made by May 25th. That's kind of a loose date. It's not hard and fast, but it's a loose date because that just will give me time to make sure that all the specifications are pulled together in time. And then we would go to OSCG&R for set on July 31st. And we would go out to bid the end of August. And that would give us time. The award recommendations would be in September. And purchase orders issued 10/12/2024, which would give us plenty of time to have the furniture received and installed in time for completion. One of the things I was going to suggest here too was that because we're trying to keep some consistency in this project, that it would be nice if some of these items, the ones that are available on the state contract, we might want to consider going on state contract if they are available, so that we don't have to be concerned about somebody trying to submit something that isn't going to be consistent with what we already have at the school, at the high school. So that might be something for consideration, but I can talk to the FF&E committee also about it. I think that's about it. Anyone have any questions?
I don't think so, right?
Okay.
Everybody good? Anything else in addition?
Okay.
All right. That is the end of our agenda for the evening. Anything else, or Kat, you have what you need right now?
Yep, I think we're in good shape. Thank you everybody for your input and for meeting on Zoom. I know we normally don't have the first meeting, but we wanted to make sure we got these things in front of everybody to keep them moving and to make sure we're doing the right thing. So we appreciate everybody's time.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will adjourn at 5:29.